Hey y'all, welcome back to my page. He is King. Today we are getting into the latest and the greatest out of Salt Lake City. We are at Season 5, Episode 6. And we are opening this episode with Angie and her mob wife's invitation. She is throwing a 25th, I believe, anniversary party for her and her not gay husband. Because we cleared that rumor up a couple seasons ago. I think 1 season ago to be exact. But they are throwing a Mob Wives theme party. And the opening of this episode is literally giving me Mob Wives. I feel like they use the same editing and maybe the same music. Black and white, the slow motion, the dramatics. Angie's really camping it up because she is the Greek camp counselor of life, in case you forgot. Angie's just so campy. And it was the perfect opening to the episode, and it just made me smile. We transition to Lisa, or we end off the invitation list because she's hanging up wanted posters on everyone's door, where she has her hitman doing so, and each of them have a little blurb of why they're wanted. And so they end with Lisa getting hers hung up on her door, and she's like, oh my god, what is this? She realizes she's getting an invite to Angie's party, which then segues her to talk about how Angie brought up her parenting. And she's having this conversation with her husband, but in front of her child as well, and asking her child if she was a bad mom, essentially. Why would your kid say that to you on camera? What kills me about Lisa is that she clearly sets up these scenes with her family, and she clearly tells them what to say. Her husband is like a pro at this point. He literally is so whipped, but this just proved that the entire family is whipped, and she is literally holding them probably at gunpoint when the cameras are not rolling. So it's just cringy but funny as hell to me at the same time. And just to put the cherry on top of the Lisa orchestrated family plan, they call her son in Colombia, Jack, who has been having stomach issues from eating real food for the first time and seasoned food for the first time. So they give him a family call and let him know that he can do it and to hang in there. We move on to a scene with Whitney and Meredith going to lunch because once again Whitney has finally woken up. She started using that brain and that bobblehead to realize that Meredith was not really the one that started all this shit that she's so mad about. So they go to lunch, they're doing their hellos, their introductions, they're just about to get into it, and then the waiter comes over, which is becoming like a Bravo staple at this point. And I'm like starting to wonder, do the waiters get paid to interrupt or do stuff just inconveniently? Because if I were a producer, and maybe this is me giving too much away if they don't do this already, I'd be the type of producer that's making great television, and I would pay the waiter. I would go into these restaurants, I would ask for the most outgoing and lively staff member that was on shift, and I would pay them extra to interrupt and find opportunities, almost like improv, to go interrupt and fuck up the housewives. Like, that's the type of producer I would be to create the content that we would need. But the waiter is going over there and interrupting them as they're talking, and I just found that funny. But they finally get into it, and Meredith is kind of clocking Whitney in this moment, because once again, Whitney did not even know what was happening. But Meredith is very right in the situation that Whitney is essentially trying to flip her against Lisa now that she realizes what's going on. And so Meredith is just like, you've been shitty to me and being a bitch to me wrongly, and now you're trying to get me to kind of be on your side so you can team up against Lisa and take her out for starting this. But somewhere in there, they're alluding to that Lisa is not even the root of it or the cause of it. So I'm very curious to know where their storyline goes, but Whitney's attempt at trying to like save face and cover up with Meredith didn't really work for her the way she probably would hoped it would have. But I see her still trying to play chess now that her brain is fully activated and thought out. So we'll see. Next scene we have is between Mary, her son, and then his alleged wife / Mary's daughter-in-law, but we don't know if this is true or not, or it's half true. But apparently Mary is confronting him because he had not been answering his phone or telling her where he was. And by the way they're talking, it seemed like they were just getting home, but they fully looked like they were wrapped in blankets or wearing like the latest Yeezy collection. I don't know, but they looked completely bummy and allegedly were coming home from somewhere looking like that. So the word on the street is that the whole storyline between Mary and her son, and where we're getting these like build-up scenes, is that he has like a drug problem. And I don't know if we're talking about weed and people are being like dramatic when they say drug problem, or if homie is like shooting up in the snowy mountains of Utah. but it's giving something along that line. But Mary is like really worried about him, and she's saying that the girlfriend, wife, daughter-in-law doesn't seem to be the best person for Robert Jr. Is kind of leading him down an interesting path and not listening to Mary because of her. So that's interesting, but they end their interaction with like love yous. Like the girl says, "I love you, Mary," and she's like, "I love you too, baby." So like I think Mary's really trying to be nice, and she's trying to like be nice to her so her son doesn't completely just like jump out the window with it. But one thing I found interesting is that as Mary's talking and trying to have this conversation with him, she ends also with, "I'm about to have company over, so like don't reappear." Which is an interesting thing to say to your possibly autistic, possibly drug addicted son who is very struggling. Like I'm sure that makes him feel like not wanted. And I know Mary's kooky, but it was just interesting to give that whole loving spiel and ask him these questions and then say don't reappear. It makes her sound like ashamed of him in a way. So that was just me maybe reading too far into it, but I was like, damn, that kind of sucks. Like, okay. But the company that Mary is talking about is Bronwyn. Bronwyn is coming over to see Mary's house and chill with her for a little bit, and I love this duo. Bronwyn has an appreciation for Mary's style and taste in her eclectic furniture and just decor in general. So Bronwyn feels at home in a lot of ways. She brings Mary a huge ass flower that Mary loves. So they hit it off very well. But Bronwyn comes in, she starts talking, and they start talking about Heather because they both realize that Heather is a fake bitch and a two-faced bitch. So they're talking about that, they're agreeing on that, and they're not wrong. And that was very just good to see. You love when the right people connect on these type of shows, and they are connecting. And before they head out on the scene, Mary's landline rings, and Bronwyn's like, "Mary, do you have a landline? Like, what the fuck? This is 2024. Mary's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Do people use it?" And Mary's like, "Well, I'm getting a call, so." So once again, nice little comedic relief there. Gotta love those two. Well, at least I do. We then move on to Angie's party, which is where we remain for the remainder of the episode. We are staying here for the long haul. There's so much shit that happens, and we get left with a cliffhanger, spoiler alert. So that just lets you know how big of a mess this party was. But we start off with Angie. Her family's coming. Meredith comes and is invited because Angie's trying to be a bigger person and show like just an olive branch. Her husband was just like, why are you inviting this woman here after everything she's done to us? I don't fuck with her. I'm not fucking with it, but like, if that's what you want to do, I'll do it for you. I'll play nice. So Meredith is there, and Meredith comes up being shady. Proving Angie's husband's point. Like, why are you here, oh, if you're going to be shady? Like, mind you, she wasn't shady to them. She was like, "Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for even considering it." Like, that's what she was doing. Or should I do one of these? That's what she was doing to the husband, but in her confessional, was trying to pop shit. So, goodbye, Meredith. Goodbye. But you know what Meredith does, and this is why she's probably excited to come, because she is starting the shit off. She ignites a conversation between Lisa and Whitney, and kind of just them engaging and thinking about each other on this night as if they weren't already. So I see why you really came, Meredith. I do. And I know I just talked a little shit about Meredith, but while we're on the subject, her and Heather look the best for this theme party. And I don't, y'all know how I feel about Heather and her Ozempic everything. You know I don't like that woman, but the look, she killed the look for the Mob Wives theme. Her and Meredith definitely look the best in my opinion. You know, if I haven't already, I'll probably put the pics in post-edit, but I was like, okay, credit where credit's due. I don't even like y'all. You're not even on my team this season, but y'all got the assignment. Y'all got the assignment. So then we move on to Britt, who shows up with a date that looks just like her on and off Osmond boyfriend. And so apparently this man is Heather's friend and also sloppy seconds for Britt because Heather has made out with him. And Heather makes this very clear because she is screaming when they walk through the door like, "Oh my god, I know him. How do you guys know each other?" Like, she wants to know how they know each other, all this stuff. She seems kind of pressed. She seems kind of jealous. But she's all been their shit and making it very known that they know each other and that they've kissed and made out. And it's just kind of tacky. Like, girl, get your own shit. You're barely already gonna get into like your heaven that I don't know, when you denounce a religion, do you denounce its heaven too? Asking for a friend. Because I don't know. But Heather needs to chill. Daddy chill. They move on to the part of the section of the party where Angie, her husband, and then what ends up being her dad are giving speeches about their marriage and all this stuff. And Angie's dad wanted to call her husband gay so bad, I almost felt it slipping out like of his mouth. He was like, but he was saying how when Angie met him, he had earrings and long hair, and he was like, didn't know what to think. Gay. But that was funny because you could tell that man wanted to say something that he did not. But he also did call him one of his favorite son-in-laws. So, despite the gayness, despite the homophobic gene, or the homosexual gene, there we go. It's been a long day. Yeah, he was still happy with him, despite him being possibly in the closet. So, shout out to them. So, after the speeches have wrapped up, we switch over to Bronwyn filling in Angie that Heather is being a messy bitch and has told Lisa that Angie is criticizing her parenting. And this kind of floors Angie. Angie did not see it coming, but Bronwyn's like, hey, we want to play messy, everybody wants to play telephone. Heather specifically wants to be messy, allow me to play her game. So I'm happy Bronwyn told Angie, because Angie, I thought, knew all this stuff maybe or had an inkling, and had no idea, because Heather, once again, did not respond in Angie's face at all. Acted cool as fuck to just go tell Lisa and then make it so bad to Lisa. So I'm glad Bronwyn did it. She revved that bus and drove it right over Heather in her cute outfit. As you should. We then get a conversation we see between Lisa and Britt, which Lisa's trying to clean up the whole Britt situation. I think in her mind somewhere she realizes she needs allies, and she realizes she really pissed Britt off. So she's trying to like appease to Britt and try to be like very nice to her. While this is happening, Mary kind of walks up and is like, what are you guys talking about? And Lisa tries to do the same thing with Mary after their little words at ziplining, and Mary's not really having it. She's like, yeah, no, like I'm not Britt, I'm not desperate, and I'm not needy like that. So she's like listening to her, but she's like, I don't really know how. And rightfully so. Be skeptical, Mary, be skeptical. So as Mary is not having it with Lisa, Heather decides to walk on over, and she decides to engage Mary because she didn't like the way that Mary, I guess, was talking to her, called her two-faced. And so Heather really thinks she's that bitch. She really thinks she has the chutzpah to go against Mary. So she tried it. She's swearing at Mary, and Mary gave her one of the "don't you talk to me like that," and Heather switched her tone. You think she cursed again? I don't think she cursed again. But Mary's like, girl, if you don't get out of here with that, you do not want it. You do not want it. Heather thinks she is doing something with Mary. Mary was like, girl, bye. Bye. In the name of Jesus, bye. And so what was funny is that Mary went to go download her drama about the fight to a group of children, which one of them included definitely Angie's daughter. But she was like, oh my god, we just got into like a fight. And they're like, why? And once again, her classic line, she's like, you know, women. But that was very funny. Very, very funny. Because those kids are like, who is this old black lady talking to us about my mama's drama? Mary just always finds a way to be kooky and funny. Comedic relief times 1,000,000,000, if you ask me. For real. So as the chaoticness is still going on, Angie goes over to confront Heather about her being a rat and her being a snitch. And literally throwing her under the bus. And so Heather's like, well, Angie, I thought you were... All of a sudden, Heather's buck. All of a sudden, Heather has something to tell Angie and has an opinion for her. So Heather thinks she's going to get buck in here. She's about to crump in Angie's face. She's so hype. And so that leads to them confronting Bronwyn. And which, I don't know, these girls haven't learned yet. Clearly. Bronwyn is the same type of energy as Mary. Is like, come for her if you want to, but she's going to serve you up. Like, the bitch is ready. She's been waiting for this moment. This is season 5. She knows what to do. So they come over there thinking they're about to, well, Heather thinking she's about to do something. And Bronwyn's like, Heather, you think you're the head bitch in charge? HBIC? And you're not. You are not untouchable. Like, you just think something's just... nothing's gonna happen to you if you just keep running your mouth all the time. Bronwyn's like, nice to meet you, my name's Bronwyn. Not happening. And I live for it. That's what the fuck we need. We need humblers. We need real people on these shows. I'm in housewife heaven with Bronwyn. I am. My notebook has made a lot of appearances today. So like I said, this episode is chaotic, this party is chaotic, and in the midst of all of these confrontations and fights happening, literally rapid fire, Jared D-list Osmond shows up. Like, what are we doing with these people? Bravo, do you really care? Bravo. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Do you care? So Jared shows up apparently at the invitation of Justin, which, why is Justin's chipmunk looking self inviting this man to Angie's anniversary party? Mind you, he invited him while he was outside, like, smoking a cigarette or standing with somebody smoking a cigarette. So it's not like he even thought about this miles down the road, or maybe, I don't know. But, like, who does that? And not only that, wasn't Whitney, his wife, talking shit about Jared, like, when he first got mentioned, how they went to dinner and she got a weird vibe and, like, didn't really like him? So why are you having chipmunk husband invite him if y'all don't even, like, messy as fuck? For what? For what? And what's even worse than them being weirdly messy is Britt, weird ass Britt, for those of you that don't remember her government name, gasping and crying as she's, like, holding her date's hand at Jared walking in. Girl, this ain't Disney and you ain't a princess. What is going on? Like, I'm short-circuiting. What is happening on this show? I want this storyline extracted from the record, from the DNA, from the editing room of Bravo. I'm tired of these people. Bravo. I'm tired of them. So Britt is crying and shaking and smiling in the corner because Jared, who, mind you, looks just like her date, has showed up to this party unannounced. And so Bronwyn's, like, standing next to her at this point and is like, are you okay? Like, do you need something? And she's like, please don't tell me you want a hug. And Britt's like, I do want a hug. Bronwyn's like, oh God, okay. And, like, gives her one of these. And I just thought that was really cool because I wouldn't hug Brittany even if she was fucking in a puddle on the floor. I'd be like, somebody have a broom, a mop, a bounty square to soak her up? Let's get rid of her. So shout out to Bronwyn for reluctantly hugging Britt. So they move on. Jared and her go outside to talk, and they don't know what they want, and she's happy that he's there, and blah, 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 blah. Then goes inside to, like, check on her date, to be like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I guess. But then the finale of the episode, which is a cliffhanger, as I said before, is Whitney versus Lisa. Baby, they engaged quick, hard, and fast. They were not playing. Not playing at all, actually. So one of the first things that they confront is Lisa leaving the necklace behind in her Milwaukee room. And so Whitney brings that up, and Lisa says she accidentally left it behind. Girl, you're not a good liar. We know Lisa be glitching out and twitching out, having a stroke damn near, especially when she's, like, caught in something. So she's glitching out talking about she accidentally left the necklace, and Whitney's like, accidentally? Alright. Alright. So Whitney then gets into the accusation that Lisa is the root of the Alibaba rumors and the Instagram accounts, and, like, really just lays it all out there, and Lisa loses her fucking marbles, screaming immediately, calling Whitney a liar, getting on the phone with one of her 6 lawyers, saying she is going to sue them and that he needs to go the distance on it and hire all the people. She said it's a code red, green, blue Utah snowcap. She's losing it. Barely could hear. Like, imagine getting a call from your client and they're just fucking screaming about somebody talking about a rumor and that they're going to go the distance on it. So Lisa's freaking out. Whitney's, like, trying to come back and yell a couple things every now and then, but Lisa's, like I said, she's gone. Lisa has blacked out. I don't even know if she knows what she's saying. But at some point goes over to Chipmunk Justin, Whitney's husband, is like, Justin, I don't know how you do it. You're married to a liar. And Chipmunk is like, don't fucking call my wife a liar. She's not a liar, Lisa. And then all of a sudden, Lisa's whipped husband pushes Chipmunk, and we end on the cliffhanger of the husbands shoving, fighting, and screaming. Now, they're not about to bust a Utah grape, but we love a good cliffhanger and looking like they're about to fight. I hope somebody does get punched, but like I said, chances are we're not busting Utah grapes in Angie's house. So that is how the episode ends. Intensely, almost as quick as it came. But, once again, Salt Lake City is serving. They're eating. And I am full. In the best way possible. I can't get enough. These rich white bitches are just giving. Well, and Mary. And Mary. She is giving the most, too, so... baby. But as always, that was it for today. Do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Please keep tuning in. I appreciate the support, the views, and just riding this journey with me. Please, please, please don't forget to do those 3 things for me. Make sure you tell a friend that might like Bravo and Housewives. But until the next time, I'll see you soon.